Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasevich.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. This is episode 320 with myself, with Sarah Monroe, and this week's guest, Dorien Morin-van. Just a quick rundown. We're going to talk about LinkedIn creator tools, and these are pretty amazing, actually. We were just talking backstage before the show. We were talking about numbers. And I got to say, some of the numbers that, at least I'm hearing, I'm like, those are really good numbers. There's also a lot of benefits here as well, I think, for you as a business. What I'm going to do is go and bring on Sarah. We're going to kick things off. But Sarah, it is fantastic seeing you again. How you doing?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm great. This LinkedIn news is actually coming at a time where our guest actually just implemented it. And I subscribed to her newsletter like 48 hours ago, the day that they announced all of these things. So it's great to welcome back our friends. Got to put the glasses on, right? For Dorien Morin-van for More in Media. So welcome, Dorien. She is a community engagement manager. She is a social media manager. She is a strategist extraordinaire, I have to say. So I always learn something about strategy or goal setting or thinking about the bigger picture whenever I talk to Dorien. So welcome.
Thank you for having me again. This is awesome. And I love the orange glasses. Christian, where are yours?
I don't think I have the orange glasses. I do have some other orange paraphernalia, but I'm not going to bring that out. That's actually more geared towards another guest. So
yeah, exactly. I think we got these, Dorien and I actually presented together at an Agents of Change event. So yeah. I became part of Dorien's fan club that day. So yeah.
Awesome.
So how do we introduce you? Is there anything you'd like to add to the introduction? You've been on the show many times. I think you're in competition for the most appearances at this point.
Yes. No, you did it. You did a great job. I am first and foremost social media manager. That's how I started out. But I am a community manager. I am in charge of several Facebook communities, which is what I love to do. I love talking with people and listening and helping them and help a brand grow a community. So that's first and foremost. I love doing that. I also love blogging. I love being creative, and writing is more of my creative outlet than even creating images and stuff. So those are kind of the things that I love to do, and been going on it 11 going on 12 years. So still going strong. That's it. That was great. It was a great introduction.
That's great. So what's interesting when you talk about writing, because it leads right into our first topic today, which is this new LinkedIn creator tools that are rolling out. Do we want to just jump right into it, Christian?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay, so LinkedIn has been using some of these tools in the past, things like LinkedIn Live. Some of you may be actually watching us on LinkedIn Live right now. They've also had article features and newsletter features, but they've only been rolled out to particular creators or particular accounts. So now they are opening this up to all of the members. LinkedIn doesn't call them users, they call them members. So these tools are going to be available broadly for people across LinkedIn to really engage with their followers, provide more information. So let's just jump right into what the features are. So changing your account to a creator account allows you to get LinkedIn Live video right out of the gate. It also allows you to use LinkedIn newsletter feature, so you don't have to use a third-party newsletter app like Constant Contact or MailChimp. And then it also will put you more into a discovery mode. So what you publish will be suggested to more followers. And I actually don't want to talk too much about all the details because we have a user right here on the show today who could talk a little bit about it. So really the big difference when you light up this creator mode is that what I see is that the connect button changes to follow. So people will be following you instead of directly connecting with you. So they can still connect with you. You can do that through message and things like that, but you'll be able to have people follow you like they do on other social media platforms, and then see all of your updates and subscribe to your newsletters and broadcasts and things like that. So Dorien, you've been doing this for about a week, right?
A little bit longer. I have 2 newsletters that have gone out, but I activated creator mode maybe this spring or this summer. Yeah. I created a video, and I just thought, I tell clients to do this stuff. I need to do this, right? So I made a little video on my phone, added it. So you can see that. And then I've been waiting for LinkedIn Live, and that kind of pushed all of that forward. I also, as I talked about writing, I do a lot of blogging. So over the years, I have kind of used my blog to write, but then I would repurpose those older blog posts on LinkedIn as LinkedIn articles. And I had quite some views on there. So then when I got the newsletter, they actually are in the same section as your articles. So it's really nice because your old articles, people can scroll through as well. So I've done 2 newsletters. The first one, I was blown away. I put it out, and for at least like the initial couple of days, I got a lot of subscribers, like hundreds. And then I didn't really look at it for a week. So by the time I went to go write the second one 2 weeks later, I was at close to 600 subscribers, which was like amazing. And then like a week ago, I sent out the second one. And then in that time, about 200 new subscribers have come in. I'm at 2 away from 800. I just checked. So that's really amazing to get that many subscribers, people. And so here is the dilemma, right? So it almost writes like an article. You're tempted to like write to the person, but it is a newsletter. So I'm still trying to figure out the format. What will work? What will, what am I going to put in there that is of value to people who don't know me? Because that's what I found. I look to see who is subscribing, and it's mostly second and third people. So they're away from me. So that also tells me that what you were just saying, that LinkedIn is pushing it out to people who don't know me. I'm being discovered. The newsletter is called Strategy Talks. So people who are thinking about strategy might not necessarily be social media strategy, but they're going to subscribe and read. So yeah, I think discovery is a big piece to this. And so I'm gearing up to take this to the next level by doing a weekly show. Starting in January, it's going to have the same name, Strategy Talks, but then taking, some of the guests that come in, as well as some of the topics I'm going to talk about, and then featuring that in the newsletter. So I do want to give value. I do try to have like a tool, a link, kind of like what you guys are doing on your show. So it's not just about me, but it's about giving value to the person who's reading it. So I'm trying to figure that out. But yes, LinkedIn is like pushing it out everywhere, which is super exciting. And I do have that follow button, which I've had for a while. And so, yeah, I've got a good amount of following, but I'd like that to double or triple. So certainly I'm going to push this hard this month, and starting in January, also combining with the show. But it's very exciting to see that new reach on LinkedIn.
Exactly. And what's great is that this announcement, like you said, you're still trying to figure out things. What's great is that LinkedIn is providing a lot of tools and information as part of this announcement. It's not just here, go do this. They've really pulled in a lot of their LinkedIn learning tools, a lot of their best practices. So it's actually in the announcement. And I've seen Christian's already put that link up in the chat to check out. It'll be in our blog post as well. But they go through a lot of best practices for live video and for newsletters. It also links out to some other articles. And I think 11:30 this morning, Eastern time, 11:30 Eastern time, I signed up for a best practice live video webinar that they're going to host too. So what's great about this is that they really are leveraging this knowledge base so that people can either learn about it. So folks who are new to this, or like all of us, we might need a little refresher about the best email and newsletters to open. And what's great is when you use that newsletter feature, there will be an email that can go straight to those folks who are subscribed to it. And then there will be an in-app notification. So I don't know about YouTube, but I have noticed that my email newsletters that I'm sending out for clients is getting 50 to 70% open rates right now. I mean, very targeted lists. It is very laser focused on the segmented list that we have, but I'm getting great engagement with email as people are getting a little fatigued with social media. So I think this is a great double bang for the newsletter.
I gotta say, I'm most impressed with, I think, just the numbers overall that you're getting. Because again, I mean, the big thing is like you start, if we put it in context of, you can run your, you typically should have an email service that you're using. For example, you should use an Aweber or a MailChimp. Like you should still use those because again, I would say right now, not all the social media platforms have a newsletter function. Twitter has it, for example. LinkedIn now has it, obviously, with LinkedIn, with these LinkedIn creator tools. I think, YouTube really doesn't have anything short of like subscribing and, there's a community tab, things like that. So
Facebook has Bulletin. Facebook has Bulletin, but that's for a very small portion of creators. So
I still think you should have it, like have a separate newsletter because, again, it's that whole build on rented land thing.
Mm-hmm.
Build it on.
But here's the thing. I'm close to 800 subscribers with 2 newsletters sent, which is amazing.
It is.
Eventually, of course, I have my signature on there where they can find me, my website. So it's up to me then to slowly migrate people to my own list eventually, right? If I continue to provide value, have them sign up for different things, give them a call to action. Hey, if you enjoy these newsletters, do this, if you, follow me here, whatever. So that's part of my strategy, is build this up first and get that authority. But I'm very, very excited with the result of 2 newsletters. So I've got 2 more to go this month. And then I'm also starting a live show. So hoping that the combination of the 2 will really, really jumpstart this new venture. And I'm very excited and very grateful for these new tools.
And like you said, a lot of those folks are people who don't know you. They're adjacent to you, but they don't know you. So they can get to know you through this without having to feel like they're giving away their email address yet. Right. Which I really like that. This is it's a soft step into your lead generation.
Right.
And the other piece that I really like about it, being the person who has to manage email lists, right, is that people update their own email in LinkedIn. So I don't have to go in and track down why is someone's email bouncing, or why is it now non-existent because they changed jobs. It's already changed because the user manages their profile email. So I really like that aspect of the newsletter too.
So I've got 2 quick things I just want to ask on this. So I think the first thing, Dorien, how much time, because again, like when you go to build your own email list, it takes a lot of time to set it up, to get the design right, to walk through that whole like flow of, not just putting in like, well, who's it being sent from, but setting up, the welcome email, the thank you email, et cetera. But how much time did it take you to create that newsletter?
So this is just a straightforward, here's a newsletter. So it was more the formatting. The first one, I tried some new things. I made some headers. Of course, I had to design it. I had to come up with a name. Okay. So the first one took me a little bit longer, whereas the second one was like, okay, I'm going to put the first one next to it. That obviously worked. I got close to 600 subscribers on the first one. Yeah. So let me copy that same idea. And then, of course, I shared it only once to my own feed. But I subscribe to my own newsletter. So what Sarah just said, you got the email notification and you got the in-app notification.
Yeah,
that's really huge. And then also I want to mention is that you somewhere on your profile, you can turn off getting invitations to people's newsletters.
Yeah.
And I had actually turned it off before I got the function because I was getting a lot of notifications. So you want to get in there and get people subscribed before other people start figuring out you can turn that off, right? So that was another interesting tidbit. They already have an option to turn off getting invited to subscribe to newsletters, which is, like, okay, you're giving that to people because they're getting sick of it. But the second one took me about 2 hours to write, once I had a topic, like a normal blog or newsletter would be, and again, it's my voice, it's me. If it was for a client, there needed to be proofs and edits and all of that. For me, it's like, it's me. You get me. This is what I have. It's a brain dump. Let's connect. Let's do this. And so it was a little bit less. It was still, it still takes effort because I want to have images in there. I want to have a certain look. But yeah, once I have a topic, I can write on that. But I want to make sure I offer value. So that's the biggest thing for me, that I'm not just going to take a bunch of information from other people and put it in a newsletter.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I add value of me. So I made sure to do that.
So I got one last tip I want to add for this. And I think it's the fact that if I'm a business, how can this help me as a business? I think the first thing is going to be, if you've struggled with putting together a newsletter because it's complicated, this is a great first step to take because it's easy to do. And then I think the other side to it is there are a lot, as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of platforms, a lot of social platforms are starting to offer a newsletter feature in addition to what LinkedIn is offering here. If it were me, I would actually put out different types of newsletters and basically A, B, C, D, basically split test these across the different platforms. For example, if you notice Dorien's getting some really great traction with her newsletter, if she has another service she's using, maybe she wants to consider trying that kind of model and see if that kind of content actually works better in email, in regular email newsletters that people are getting. So, Sarah or Dorien, any tips you want to share there for a business or a person that wants to tap into using these at least?
I think Dorien has said it multiple times, and so has Christian. It's about value, and that you need to earn that subscription, right? And also, as Dorien said, she's been thinking about the people who are new to her and new subscribers. So as you keep having these subscriber count jumps to your newsletter, you may need to do a little bit of reintroduction from time to time. And hopefully your longtime subscribers will be patient through that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Sarah. There is that balance of, especially with the second one, I'm like, hey, this is the second edition, but this is what it's about. This is what, and my tagline is, it's called, the newsletter is called Strategy Talks because content doesn't create itself, right? So you have to have a strategy. It's all about content strategy creation. So that becomes apparent in the first paragraph, and then I dive in. But yeah, reintroduction, that's really a good way to say it. And I think if you want to get started with this, the first thing is you have to turn on creator mode, guys. Turn on that creator mode, make a little video and get started with that. And I would certainly advise you to do that and then make a plan. I think all of these, I love that these tools kind of go hand in hand with, everything. It's for the creator. And I think every platform is doing this. Think about what's happening on Pinterest, with these idea pins, right? It's for creators. Here are your ideas, put them out there. We're going to put them in the feed and they're going to give you an instant boost. It's kind of like this where, this goes with every platform, guys. You need to go to the newest, shiniest objects on the platform. Even if you have a strategy and your strategy involves Facebook Live, if Facebook all of a sudden does Facebook Watch, or they do a new thing or an audio, you've got to try out the new things because Facebook is going to value that new thing and there's going to boost you using it. And this is what's happening on LinkedIn, right? Creator mode is new. They have these newsletters. those who are using it and jumping on, they're going to get that extra little boost early on, and then the masses come, and then that, you know, that reach might tank a little bit. So get started early and go to, and I'm not saying abandon your other strategy, but go to where the new stuff is. And if you're in social media, if you're, you know, if you're managing social media for clients, and this is really important to remember, just, you know, use those new features to your advantage to get that extra little bit of reach and juice.
Excellent point. So what I want to do real quick, Sarah, I just want to show people those screenshots that you put together for what this looks like. And then we're going to cut to the next topic, actually. So Sarah, these were the screenshots I think you had, right?
So this is, I searched through and through, excuse me, searched through my profile. Where do I turn this on? How do I find it? And I couldn't find it. So I just used the link in the announcement. It shows you how to get to this. So the first thing that you get is, this little description about what creator mode is, lets you know that that your connect button will change to follow, things like that, gives you a little preview of what that will look like. And then if you go to the next screen, you press next, it will show you where you can pick up to five topics of your, I guess, focused expertise areas. And this will help with that discovery piece. So let's say you're a career changer, or you're trying to break into a new field, and that's what you're going to write about or do videos about. Go ahead and put that new topic in there, right? Be a little bold, because you'll be discovered in that new topic. And especially if you want to find a job in that new topic or a client in that new topic, definitely use those to your advantage. And then it also shows you what creator tools are available for you, and you can click through and get more information. So I definitely say, if you're a little hesitant, go ahead and just preview those things. Like I said, that announcement that they had also links through to more explanation. You have to click through. I had to go through 3 clicks, I think, to get more information about LinkedIn video, even though I know about LinkedIn Live video, but just wanted to see where the information trail went. So if you keep going down that little Easter egg hunt, you will find a lot more details, so that if you are someone who needs a little more research before you jump into something, you can find it all there. So they did a really good job with that, I have to say.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's keep going with the news this week. So that was the big news, obviously. What's next?
The big news. So let's talk about some Twitter news, and we can't talk about Twitter without saying that @Jack is stepping down from Twitter. So Jack Dorsey has announced that he is no longer CEO or president of Twitter, that he's passing the reins off to some new folks who've been with the company, not new folks, but folks who've been with the company for a long time, and will be moving into leadership roles. He's only going to stay on the board until May, and really explains how he feels about founder syndrome and how that changes a company's culture and can perhaps stagnate or distort innovation. So @Jack will be moving on to new things and probably focus a little bit more on Square. And we'll see where Twitter goes from there. So the next topic for Twitter is that they are initiating downvoting in replies. This is something that they have been teasing since July. I think that's when we saw the first announcement from Twitter that this might be happening or testing. And then there have been some social media sleuths who've sort of been in the back end and found these screenshots of the new control panels. But basically what it's going to let people do is downvote a reply, basically trying to assess the value of a reply to see if it should be shown to others. I think a lot of us forget, because it's really easy to just have a chronological Twitter feed, that there is an algorithm behind Twitter, and things like this can help assess what's valuable and what isn't valuable to users. So you won't see a downvote. The public won't see the downvote, but the publisher will see the downvotes, just to get an assessment of that as well. So anything to add from you two about Twitter news?
Dorien, do you want to take this one first? Or I mean, you tell me. I can.
I mean, I don't spend a whole lot of time on Twitter anymore. I think the announcement was like, okay, finally. I mean, I feel that if a company is stagnant or a company is not moving in the direction, I mean, how much have we heard about people say, we need an edit button, we need this, we need that. I mean, they haven't kept up with the times, I think. And if that's what it was founder syndrome. I have this and I want it to stay this way. Then move over, Jack, and, let some new people with new ideas, young people listen and let him implement some new stuff. I mean, he might have recognized that he was the one holding the company back from, great things. So I think anytime there's a change at the helm, that can be scary things, but also can be good things. So let's keep our fingers crossed that it's good things and that some new life will be, put in there in Twitter. And I would say it's a good thing.
Well, and here's the other thing. I mean, you mentioned this, Sarah, like he's been running Square and Twitter at the same time. And again, I mean, you can run them all to a point, and then, there's going to be a point where you have to decide which one do you put more of your effort into. So it's sort of kind of good that he's moving away from Twitter. I think also, I mean, if you look at from a financial standpoint, you look at the stock market reaction, things like that. It was actually the fact that they cheered that he was moving on. So we'll see kind of how that, we'll see how that plays out. Again, I mean, it's always a tough thing when one of your founder, for example, when they move on, how do you also still have to try to stay true to like what your culture is, and things like that within the company. So,
right. Well, for folks who may have forgotten, he's left before. He's left before, and Twitter didn't do so well, and he came back. And now I think he has a good team, which he says in his announcement. He's got a great team who are engineers, who are people who are really invested in the company and want to see it move forward. We've seen this before. Steve Jobs went back to Apple. We've seen other things, but it's nice that he knows that he needs to get out of the way now. And I would say Twitter has been doing a lot of great things over the last 3 years. I have to say, I really like how the algorithm is feeding information to me, just because Twitter can be such a big fire hose, right? And also Twitter Spaces, they also are really the only platform that I know of that says, okay, we're going to try this. And if it doesn't work out, we're leaving, right? They did that with Twitter Shopping 4 years ago, something like that. They brought it back to see if it's viable now. It's a different time. People are in a different place with e-commerce. And they killed stories right away, or Twitter fleets, right?
I know, right?
It wasn't working. They're like, it's not working. We're getting rid of it. We want to focus on other things. So I think he's brought that piece back to Twitter. Is like, if something's not working, let it go. Don't try to force people to use it. Just let it go and let's focus on something else where we can do better. And gotta say, I think Twitter Spaces is awesome. So it'd be interesting.
And speaking of Twitter Spaces, we are broadcasting over on Twitter Spaces right now. They also, by the way, they have a Spaces button now all the way at the bottom of the Twitter mobile app. And so this way you can quickly start an audio, you can basically start an audio room. So that's what we're doing right now. I want to thank Barb Tomlin, who's listening there, along with a few other people as well. So in terms of the other Twitter news you talked about like the fact that you can you're going to be able to downvote to better understand responses. Again, this is one of the reasons why I love always having you on. And it's the fact that we talk strategy. Like, we all know that it's not just about like posting and praying. Like, you need to be looking at the analytics. And so the fact even if you're not using Twitter, for example, the fact that the downvotes are going to be there, I think, I really don't think that needs to be public information, right? Like, it should be it's almost like you go to, you ever been to an airport? When you go into an airport and they have one of those, they've started to put those, buttons, right? The green and the red, green, yellow, and
the bathroom.
Red, right? Exactly. Right. And it's like, how is your service there? How is the, it's like a polling feature. And so the great thing is, like, the general public doesn't need to see the fact that well, you know what? Hey, 70% said they like this, 30% said they did not, or whatnot. It's something that whoever's managing that needs to have access to look at. So putting that in context of Twitter, I think it makes a lot of sense, because then if I'm the person running the Twitter account, I need to make sure I spend some time looking at my analytics and seeing, what, hey, if people are downloading that, is it because of the particular topic? Is it political? Is it the fact that it just really isn't good content? Or maybe they just didn't like the approach I took to something. So
it's kind of like LinkedIn polls, right? Which is totally overused, but effective in trying to get, you just want trying to get people to react, right? So that's, react and interact with your stuff. And I'm seeing some of the silliest questions on the polls just for people to get those reactions and get their reach. So I just hope that that's not going to happen with that. But yeah, I agree, getting feedback on what you post and questions. And I think that's important. You want to test, always be testing.
Yeah. And you want to make sure you look at that feedback that you get. Don't just don't look at the number and say, well, hey, 100 people downvoted it. Why did they downvote it? Because it comes back to strategy. It comes back to what you are doing to help grow your business on social media.
Right.
So,
right. And hopefully we haven't seen if you can see who's downvoting, because we see this with other platforms, right? We get the folks who will blast. I think YouTube announced this a couple of weeks ago. We get these groups of people who will just bombard a channel with dislikes, just to troll them. And I think it'll be interesting if we can see who is downvoting. I think that will matter, especially for people who are from marginalized backgrounds, who may be speaking in some fields that may be a little more controversial, maybe trying to push thought forward. And we won't see those dislike counts publicly. So I think that will be helpful, so that you don't know, if the trolls have attacked them or something like that. So
yeah, the point that you just made, Christian, I just want to say that again. The data is available, guys, but it needs a human to interpret it. So that's the part that sometimes people forget. So you see the data and you see, what happens, but then what does it mean? What did it mean for my content? What did it mean for the next content I'm putting out? What does it mean for my strategy? So it's you still need a human there to look at that data that you get from the downvotes. And just like any other data, you need to figure out what it means for your company when this happens. So it was a good point that Christian made.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So Sarah, is there any other news you want to talk about this week?
Why don't we just talk about Facebook/Meta Business is announcing more controls to the newsfeed. I have to say, I read through this. I was like, I don't really know what's new here, because the same things about being able to favorite, snooze, unfollow, reconnect with people have been there for a long time with newsfeed controls for personal profiles. So not entirely sure how this is different, but they seem to be putting a more emphasis on it and reminding people. Most people don't change any kind of settings on their Facebook news feeds. So by letting the algorithm know that you don't want to see this content means that you'll see less of it. So if you are getting some Facebook fatigue, let them know that, hey, I don't want to see this. And then you'll see less. So this announcement may just be a good reminder to people that they can tailor that kind of thing. The other part of the announcement is a little esoteric. It sounds like it's business newsfeed information, but it's actually exclusion topics for advertising for businesses. So what this is going to allow businesses to do is, when you create an ad, you can certainly say that it's about these different topics, or you want to find people who are interested in these kinds of things. You can really tailor your Facebook ads, but this is now giving you the exclusion. I want all of these people except. That's where that exclusion piece comes in. So you can remove things like politics or different crises that are coming up, so that your ad won't show up to users who are very heavily engaged in those topic areas. So it's very much testing. It's only for English ads. And again, testing. So we're not entirely sure how that's going to play out. The other piece, Instagram is talking about combining displays. So what this means, this is still just in the testing, the hinting area, right? But it sounds like your feed on Instagram will have stories, reels, posts, and video. So everything is coming into that vertical feed. Instead of having to go to the top to see your stories, they might, we're not entirely sure, they might start to appear in that feed for you on your home screen on Instagram. So that's a big change. That's a really big change to see stories there.
So hold on. So basically Instagram is going to look like Facebook.
It's going to look like TikTok.
Well, like TikTok, but it's going to be basically very similar to Facebook in the sense that they're bringing in, more things beyond just the whole visual aspect. So interesting.
Yeah.
We've always said that it's always been a testing ground, that we've always wondered if Instagram was a testing ground for Facebook at the time when Facebook was Facebook,
right?
To see if should they add that to Facebook? Should they not? And so forth. But very interesting, actually. Dorien, is there anything you want to add about these particular topics?
Well, I wanted to talk about Facebook when you were talking about your newsfeed. I certainly, by accident, logged on my mobile phone into my page. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have this feed. I don't look at it very often, but as a page, I'd liked other pages. So that kind of threw me off, like all of those that was coming at me. So that certainly felt different. But then I went to back to my personal feed. One of the things I think you were right about, people don't know they can turn these things off. Every time I have a new friend request, when I do accept it, I realize I see all their stuff. And it's because I've unfollowed so many of my friends. I'm friends with them, but I unfollow them because they post too much or they post overshare or whatever. But the new people that you friend, automatically you follow them. So it's just, I started getting in the habit of, I friend somebody, I accept a friend request, I go and unfollow them. I look at them and then I unfollow them because I might want to be friends with them, but I don't, if that's a new person that I kind of knew, because we're colleagues, I don't want to see their personal stuff in my feed over my sister's, so, so it just, I think this is a good awareness thing, is when you accept a new friend request, you automatically follow them. So you need to go in and unfollow them if you don't want to see every single post. So I had a lot of ads in the last week, of course, like everybody else. And I started marking them as irrelevant, just irrelevant. They're not mine. I don't want them. Stop doing that. Yep. And then the other thing I've been doing a lot of, I'm in a lot of groups, local groups, just because I'm looking for things for my house. And then I see all these sales and people post the same thing to like 6 different local groups. So I just started snoozing people in groups. So I don't see that anymore. So, this is kind of a reminder. You are in charge of what you see in your newsfeed, especially on mobile. I do it a lot. I just go to those 3 little dots and I'm like, snooze, I don't want to see this, unfollow. You do teach your newsfeed, your algorithm on what you want and not. And I think that might be, you were right, Sarah. I think that's a big reminder there.
Yeah, you can really fine tune how you use Facebook. For a while, Facebook has been loading extremely slowly for me for the last month. It's just, it's like gerbils are running to try to get the newsfeed to refresh for me. I've had weeks where all I see are groups. I've had weeks where all I see are the new people that I follow, that I've friended, or all I see is news. So Facebook does not know what to do with me right now. And they're not really sure where I am either, because I'm seeing local stuff from Maine. I was in Maine 4 weeks ago. Yeah. So all I'm seeing is, I'm still seeing Maine. It hasn't figured out that
I moved more than 2 years ago from South Carolina, and in my opinion, I have done every setting that I need to. I still get local South Carolina news. I'm like, come on, Facebook, you haven't caught up yet. I unfollowed all of them, and it still wants to show me the South Carolina shooting in Myrtle Beach. I'm like, no, I don't want to know about it. I moved away. So yeah, that you do have to constantly update that, what you want and what you don't. And I think that people forget that. I mean, this was a holiday weekend. So what did I do? I watched a bunch of reels on Facebook and silly stories and, those clickbaity things. And now that's all I see. Suggested content. I'm like, no. I've just cleaned on Monday. I'm like, I'm going back to work. I don't want to see this. So all that suggested content, I said no to, and it's cleaned up. But that's something that we know because we work in social media. I think there's a lot of people that don't realize that and see that suggested content and click on it because it's there, and they don't realize they haven't followed these pages. And so it's just similar content. And then once you click on it and you follow it, then you go down that rabbit hole. So so
Instagram, I noticed Instagram is showing me a lot more suggested content recently too. So, and I really wish that the Instagram Reels algorithm would move over to Facebook, because the Facebook Reels that I'm seeing are not applicable in the least to me. I am just like, what is this?
And I don't even want to click on it. I don't even want to see it, but it's sitting there. Yeah.
I know. It's really, especially when I compare it to the Instagram Reels that I see, which are funny. I love the Instagram Reels. My friends are so sick of me forwarding them Instagram Reels right now. And YouTube Shorts. YouTube knows what I want to watch, and the shorts are just dead on what I want to see. So, hopefully Facebook will catch up with that. Otherwise, these other platforms with the short video, as Instagram announced that they're going to make it even more visible, are going to take over.
So did we have any other social media news for the week?
We have we have a little bit from YouTube. I'll just mention it. We are, perhaps we're going to talk about it a little bit later, because Christian, I know you're really excited about this. So yeah, exactly. Creator Insider. And again, if you don't subscribe to Creator Insider videos and you're on YouTube, you need to subscribe, because the Creator Insider team shares all the secrets in their videos. So what they're talking about this week is that you can reuse elements from other videos. And they also give the caveat, you don't want to reuse the same title for all of your videos. You do want some searchability. You do want the descriptions to be a little bit different. But if you're like us with Social Chatter, there are some elements in the descriptions that are the same every week. And there are some naming protocols that we have for our videos as well. So it's a little easier to make the edits when you can just reuse some of the details. The other piece that I find really, really helpful is that there's times where I'm working on a video with a client, they want it recut. They're just seeing it as a private video in YouTube. They want something recut. I can just reuse those elements when I bring in that second cut for a video. So I don't have to type and cut and paste and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to make it very, very handy for folks like me, or like us with Social Chatter, who are doing this. The other piece is that they're going to add more analytics to mobile and desktop. And I think we need to dive into this maybe next week, because there's a lot more data that we're going to have access to in the back end of our YouTube videos. So again, Creator Studio, Creator Insider, I think, right? Sorry, that's the channel at the bottom of that image. You can see it and subscribe and watch the videos, because they tell everything. They're very transparent on YouTube right now through this channel.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, I really think that they should be transparent about, they should totally be transparent about like how people can succeed on their platform. Because again, I mean, like if you put out really good content, this comes back to like strategy, Doreen, like, when you put out like YouTube content, you want to make sure that it's the right thing. And it's not like, and part of it's getting people to understand that, you're spending time creating this. So you want to make sure that you're having, the most impact that you possibly can when you put it out there. And then at the same time, you're going to get rewarded if you put out really good content. Mm-hmm. So if you put out the content people are searching for, and YouTube sees like a lot of comments, and they're relevant comments. They're not like, hey, this is a bad video. They're, things like, real questions related to what you're talking about. Then, YouTube is going to say, well, hey, we should show more of Dorien's content or Sarah's videos, or the Social Chef's videos. Like, we should show those to people. So again, it's like the information is there. It's really up to you to spend the time going through it and making sure that, you're checking some of those boxes. It's the whole thing of like, like, let's just say you were going to make, let's say you're going to make like a wooden dresser, right? Like, you could put the frame up, but like there's a process to make the whole thing. So how do you get to that finished product where it looks nice and polished? You build the framework, and then you're constantly adding different layers to it, and you're adding more polish to it to make it, the best that it possibly can every single time that you put out a new video. So, by the way, I want to make sure before we go into questions with Dorien, I want to make sure we highlight some of the really good comments that we have received from our viewers. We got some feedback from Barb Tomlin here, a longtime viewer. She said she had to sign into Facebook while listening to Twitter Spaces. She said this is the best Social Chefs show ever. However, she also said you all are totally rocking with knowledge bombs. So, congratulations!
Yeah,
thank you, Barb.
Okay,
so, great.
So, Sarah, where do we go from here?
Well, I think we should go into questions with Dorien. We've had a lot of time. We've sort of run over on the news side, but we've got someone, we talked to Agata Pavlak a couple of weeks ago about a little bit about agile marketing. And Dorien is also an agile marketer. And I think it's perfect timing for us to talk about this because it's some tools that I really appreciate. And end of year, we're all planning. And now we also see all of these new tools coming out. Like as Dorien was talking about with LinkedIn, when platforms come out with new tools, they want you to try to use them. And so you need to be nimble and, dare I say, agile in your planning to see how can we pick up these new tools and maybe get more reach and engagement by using them. So Dorien, let's start with the big picture question, right? Which is, what is agile marketing and how is it different? How is that different from what we normally do day to day with content calendars and strategic plans and things like that?
So the biggest change or the biggest difference with agile is that it's a mindset. It's not the tools. It's not a method. It's a mindset of being agile. That means it's not about who is right or who is doing it right, but what is right for the client, and that you all work together. Agile comes from the software space, the software development space, where teams were working together to create processes, right? They were writing programs, and little changes made a big difference. So it's all about iterations, about different things. So when you're working in agile marketing and we're working as a team with different people, it's all about listening to the team and having very frequent meetings to talk about what's working and what's not, and how you can support each other, because it's about the end product, not about every single individual that's involved. Now, that doesn't mean the individuals aren't important, because the other part to agile marketing is that what will happen is your skills will rise to the top in a team, right? So, for example, one of the things that I do every day, and I'm by myself, I do have a team, which is I have an assistant and I'm on other people's teams. And I'm also have my clients, which I consider my teams. But I have a meeting every day, a 10-minute meeting. Sometimes it's a lot shorter, but where I go, what did I do yesterday? What did I get accomplished? And cheer myself on. What do I have to today, right? To get done, and where am I stuck? And when you're in a team, when you can verbalize every day where you're stuck and why you're stuck, then your team can jump in and say, hey, Dorien, I hear that you're stuck on that video editing. You couldn't even get started yesterday. And I feel like that might be something that you're not really interested in doing, or you might it might be too much for you to open the tool or to get started. And you know what? I'm really good at video editing. Why don't I take that today on my plate? And so when you're working as a team, it's about getting that product done. And so the all has to do with mindset, right? It's not about, oh, I have to do this or I have to present this. It's working together as a team to get this product, this content right for the client. And, yes, there are tools that you can use to do this, but there's lots of different tools out there. But it's the mindset of making small changes together and working together on a project to bring the best possible product to market to a client. And that's really, in a nutshell, how you can apply agile to marketing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of it is the shared ownership, right? It's not who's getting credit, it's what's getting done, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned a little bit about like that little smash that like button. You mentioned a little bit about how you have these 10-minute meetings each day. So, I've worked in app development where we've had Scrum sessions and things like that. So for people who aren't familiar with the agile way of working, what does a day look like, right? When you're implementing this, I'm sure, and maybe take even a step back. How did you start the strategic planning in a different way? And then how does that translate into your daily work on projects?
Okay. So I've been doing the agile part about 2 years. But before I did, I just had a to-do list, right? And this is my to-do list. And I was just like, these are the things that need to get done for the day or for the week. And I was very scattered. And in my mind, I knew what needed to get done, but then I wasn't getting it done. So a very simple way to get started with the agile process is get a bunch of these and find a blank wall. I have a blank wall behind me, but you can do it on your desk. And so every task that needs to get done for me is initially this. Now, the idea behind this is that when you have completed a task, you actually take it off the wall and I put it through my shredder, right? Or I make a stack at the end of the day. But breaking down big tasks into smaller tasks, say, for example, you need to write a blog. Well, there's a lot of different pieces to writing a blog. So if I were to need to write a blog, I would write it in green and say blog due end of the day. Then I would take the other color and I would, write the headline, write the outline, research the topic, and then the writing part, and then the editing part. And now I might have 4 or 5 of these, right? So then I can break it up in manageable tasks. Now, if you do this often, and if this is part of your system, you know that the headline writing, for me, it takes 15 minutes to get a good headline. I have a tool, 15 minutes, I write a headline. So if I know I have to write 4 blogs for the month, I might put them all together because I'm in the tool already. So I might actually put all of those headlines, and instead of 15 minutes, it might take me 10, right? Because now I'm already in the tool, I'm already set up. So instead of spending 4 times 15 minutes, 15 minutes every week writing a headline, I might do them all together and I might get it done in 35 minutes because I'm in the mode, I'm doing it. So by figuring out what all these tasks are and then putting them together, that's going to save you time. So knowing ahead of time what all these pieces are. So then throughout the day, I try to start with the things that are the hardest, like eat that frog mentality, right? The thing that you dread the most, do it first. And then I also know myself that writing is early in the day. So if I have to get something done, I might set up the night before. I have my sticky notes sitting there. This is what you have to write. The headline's already done. The outline's done. The research is done. I just have to write. I might get up at 6 a.m. and do the writing part because I know that's when I'm most productive. So understanding when you're creative, what time of day, when you can take phone calls, when you can do live shows, when you're better at answering emails, having that day-to-day understanding is going to help you. Like I used to check email all the time. I'm a community manager. I used to go in the communities all the time. I don't do that anymore. The first thing I do in the morning is open the email, answer the emails. I'll go back right before lunch. I'll go back right before the end of the day. I don't do email on my phone anymore. I just don't do it. I cannot type on my phone very well. So understanding where you're going to save time, what your day looks like, what needs to get done. And then I have this bigger board of, for every client, what are recurring things every week and what needs to get done for the month. So if for a client, if I have to write 3 blog posts for the month, you know, I set a deadline for the 5th of the month to get all the titles done. By the 10th, I need to get 1 article done. By the 18th, I really want to get all 3 articles done. That way it gives me a little bit of leadway if I don't have it, you know, a little bit of extra time. But you have to have that mindset of understanding each task, where it belongs, what is the importance of the task, when do I need to get it done. The other thing that this has helped me do is Monday is my content creation day. So Monday, I don't do any meetings. No meetings. Wednesday, I only have 1 meeting. Friday, I only have 1 meeting. Most of my meetings are Tuesdays and Thursdays. So when I meet with a new client or need to meet with my teams, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are the days I get dressed up. Those are the days that I have meetings. That's my interrupted workflow kind of see. So by laying this out and using online tools like a Notion.io or a Monday or a ClickUp, where you can put all these smaller tasks into manageable pieces, or just starting out using this is really, really helpful.
Great. I gotta say, this is just fantastic information here. Just talking about the whole
I'll
agile
share
process.
my little sticky note process. So I also use bullet journals too. I have to say, I really like putting together what the month is going to look like.
Oh, I've got this. Yeah. So actually, I forgot to say, when I'm in meetings, I write the date, I write all that. And then in the meeting, I create these. I have this with me. So when I'm in a meeting and there's a task, I put it on there and I stick it in my book. And then when I'm done in the meeting, after the meeting, I take a couple of minutes and then transfer those sticky notes into my work schedule, either, you know, online in a Notion or on my board that I'm working on. But having that honest conversation with yourself, why am I stuck, is really a good one. And with your team, you know, you might find that somebody in your team loves doing the thing that you dread the most, right? And I have found that somebody in my team might not be very good at copywriting for social media, but they're really good at getting the creatives ready. So I come up with the idea, this is what I want to post about. And then they go and create the images, they put them in the tool and then assign it to me and say, hey, the images are ready. Can you write social media copy? And then I'll go in and it's something that I do. I've been doing for 11 years. I can do it faster. So it's a good team thing. And so the whole process goes way faster than if I said to that person, hey, you need to come up with all this. Here's the ideas, come up with everything. And then they might take 3 hours to write copy that isn't as good as mine. So why would you do that? So really breaking it down into those small tasks and then finding who on your team is best at that. And then having those check-ins are really important, because the check-ins will tell you where people are stuck. And it's an iterative process. When I started doing this almost 2 years ago, I found 12 hours a week just by myself. I found I was spending time where I shouldn't be spending it. I was not agile. I was overdoing things. I was spending too much time here where I wasn't getting paid for it, not enough time here where I was making more money. Understanding what is bringing in the money, what tasks that you're doing are actually bringing in money. You should do more of those, and finding out that I maybe wasn't prospecting enough. It's just really, that whole system is really, really important. And having, even if you're a freelancer, which I have been for a long time, where, you know, it feels like I'm a team of one, but I'm really not, because my clients are my team. So making sure that you check in with your clients more often, even if they say they don't have time, just say, hey, you asked me to make a flyer. Here are 3 concepts. Just look at them. Give me 2 minutes. Look at them. Which concept should I take to the next level? Then you get to the next level, and then you make 3 different colors. Say, okay, I'm at the next iteration. Which do you like? And I think that when you, hey, James and Agatha, they're here. That's awesome. Agile Marketing Network community, come join us, right? But getting that feedback, you know, I talked about this yesterday. It was on a different show. It's like, haven't you been in the weeds for 3 hours working on something and then you don't even know, and then you realize that that's wasted because you went the wrong way? Go to that client more quickly and say, how about this? Can you just look at it? And or your team, am I in the right direction? Wasting so much time not asking for that feedback. Feedback in Agile is important. And there's tools out there that you can get that feedback. Even social planning tools like Plannable is very agile, where you can put the images in and make them look nice, like in a mock Instagram feed. And then the team can go in, even a CEO can go in and say, I love this, what you're doing, or I like this, but there's not enough of this, or, you know, like, it's really important to get that feedback. And it's about what's right, not who's right. I think that's really what Agile is about.
That is such an excellent point. What's right, not who's right, because like as a team, I mean, when I sit here and listen to you right now talk about this, it seems so straightforward. Like, for example, when I was talking about building a dresser earlier, like you start with one type and then you try to build it, you know, and you polish it. And it's the same thing with like your daily habits or the things you're trying to get done. You know, and so there should be no excuse for somebody not being able to move forward with various things. I mean, there's so much, like, I mean, it's a learning process. It's something that, like, you know, I like love the point that, you know, if you're not good at something, look at your team and see who else might be, because again, it's about like, it's basically putting together a puzzle, a flexible puzzle where everybody is able to, you know, slot into what they're good at.
Take it back to those game shows that we watch, Survivor, when you are on the team, right? So when you pick your teammates, if you don't know them and you don't know what people are good at, or they say, I'm good at puzzles, and then you put them in front of the project and they're really not, and they suck. What you need to learn from that, the next iteration, the next game you have, you say to that person, you were not as good at this as you thought you were. So you're going to be the cheerleader instead of the puzzle maker. And so you learn from that. There's always mistakes that are made. But the thing about Agile is you got to learn from your mistakes and put the best people at the best tasks, right? And that's what that's about. The other point I want to make is that Agile marketing has been around for a long time, but it's usually been deployed in large team corporations. And what we're trying to do with the Agile Marketing Network is bring it to people with small teams that don't work for a corporation, that might not have a scrum master, that might not have somebody, a big project manager, but that you can implement this mindset, which is really what it is, into your small team of 1 or 2. James and Nagata are a team of 2, right? And so when I joined them in a meeting, and now we're 3, and when Emma joins, there were a team of 4. But when, even if it's a team of 1 or 2, you can have this mindset and say, hey, you know what, you know, and I'm sure you and Sarah, Christian, you guys are doing that too. You might find that Sarah might be good at the research, you might be good at the graphics, but you're when you first started working together, you didn't know that. But shame on you if you didn't learn, right? So
we've learned,
that's what you've managed it, and then as you go, so the Agile mindset would be to not let that personal, well, it's my thing, take precedence over, let's make this the best show for our audience. And that's what it is. The audience, the client, we want the best show for the client. So that's really what this is about. And that's what we like to teach. And it's really changed the way I think about going into meetings, being prepared for meetings, going to talk to my clients more frequently, even if it's an email touch, putting stuff in front of them, and really getting feedback from the team. And it's so important. It's so important that you're agile and that you're willing to listen and have that mindset of, you know, let's just make it even better, you know, all these different iterations of a process.
Right. And that iteration piece, the communications and iteration piece, I think are really key to this whole process, because you're showing people along the way so that if minds change or something, you know, something changed. I've had a client change their mind within 24 hours on a whole campaign, right? That we've spent weeks putting together, and we shelved it because something has changed. And that saves us time. Okay, where are we go? Then we spend our time on where are we going next, right? Or if something is partway done, this is where that app development piece comes into agile marketing too. Something's halfway done. Here's where we've got so many pieces of content and imagery. How is it looking? Right. It's that very quick email. How does this, please take 5 minutes. How does this look? And it takes a while to train people because they think you're just bombarding me with email or we've got too many meetings. It's like, no, these half-hour meetings once a week save us hours in email exchanges or trying to figure out, running down a rabbit hole that is a dead end, right?
Right. So one of the things that I want to tell you, when a client cancels a meeting that you set up for this stuff, you have to insist on, come in for 5 minutes, or I'm sending you an email. I need you to look at it. And you need to make sure that you get that feedback especially about content, but also the process. And, you kind of have to be that project manager and say, I need eyes on this. And it's up to you as a marketer to demand that and to be able to provide them what they want. Because when I first started out as a business owner, as a marketer, I was almost scared to ask for that feedback, right? Or I was hesitant, and I would deliver things that weren't what they really wanted, and they wouldn't necessarily tell me all the time, but then be like, yeah, I don't like that. Or so it's really important to build that rapport. And when you take on new clients, to set that expectation, like, I'm going to run your social media for you, but I can't do it without your input. You are the brand, right? You know what I need to sound and look like. So you need to tell me when I hit the nail on the head. You need to tell me that was awesome. And you also need to tell me when I missed the mark, so I can learn and I can get better. And I have a client that's doing a really good job. I've been with her for 2 years, and I created something for her recently, and I put it out on social media because she lets me put out quotes, and she saw it and she sent me a picture. She's like, that is perfect. Everything about it, I love. I love the font. I love the color. I love the message. I was like, awesome. I got 4 more like that going out in the next 4 weeks, but that's a good frame of reference for me. Get that feedback where I will take that design and try to grab a couple of different templates from that idea, now that I know this is what you like. So asking for that feedback and then, acting on that. But those small iterations, guys, makes all the difference working with your clients.
Yep. I love it when my client sends me a screenshot saying, so-and-so just retweeted us.
Yeah, exactly.
And they get so excited about it.
Yeah. So I can talk about this for hours, but Agile starts with mindset. If you are not in the right frame of mind, if you are not willing to be a team, if you are not willing to give kudos to somebody else or hand a task off to somebody else, then it's really hard to be agile. But working together for the greater good of the client and the content is what that's all about. It's about, as I said before, it's what's right, not who's right. And that's really, and it's very exciting. It's really been what's been driving my business for the last 2 years. And it's doing well. So, yeah.
Okay. So to get into that mindset, let's talk about people who want to get there. We've convinced them that this is a good thing to do. So what are your top 3 resources, you would say, if someone wants to get into this now or sharpen their skills in it?
Okay. So one of the places they can go is the Agile Marketing Network community. It's a Facebook group where we share tips, where you can ask questions. So that's an easy one. The other one is a glossary of terms. It takes a little bit to understand the terminology of Agile. I've taken a couple of courses, but even when I took a course, I wasn't putting it into practice. So so the glossary would be another one. I think you guys have the link for that, to, all the different terminology of Agile.
Okay.
And then I think the other one would be the other resource is go find a tool. If you have Trello, there's a Kanban view in Trello. If you already use that tool, or a tool like Notion or Monday or Airtable, a lot of these tools that are out there that you might already be using have a Kanban view, which is the view that you would want to use if you want to be more agile. It gives you more of a like this type of view, right? There's a note and it says your task on there. So look around to what you are already using and you look for the word Kanban, Kanban, and see if there's a view in there that would allow you to start using that. So I really think that those are the best places to get started. And then I learned theory first. You have to start putting it into practice. So network with people who are in the agile space, friend me, talk to me, go in that group. Not until I met James and Agata did I start really implementing agile marketing in my business. I had learned the theory. I became certified. It was everybody in the workshop with me was working for a large corporation. So they were implementing it before me. And I kept asking questions. What about me? Team of one. What about me? So being with other people who are doing this, asking the questions, but you have to be willing to take 10 minutes every day to start implementing this in order to save, say, an hour at the end of the day, right? And that's one of those things that when we sometimes get so busy that we can't see the forest through the trees, right? It's like this, you have to step back. So start looking at agile, start having that meeting. And it's 3 questions that you ask yourself, guys, every day. What did I do yesterday? What do I want to accomplish today? And where am I stuck? And answer those questions for yourself every single day. That's a great way to get started. 3 questions. What did I do yesterday? What did I do yesterday? What am I going to do today? And where am I stuck? And if you are honest to yourself and your team about those questions, and when you have your meeting, if you do have team members or you have, an assistant or a VA, and you have that meeting either once a week or if you have it every day, if you have a team that you work with every day, and answer those questions honestly, you're going to start realizing, because when I said stuck, I might get stuck. Oh, I just don't want to do the research on that. My teammate might say, hand it to me. Tell me what to do. I'll get it done and I'll serve it to you in 1 hour. That's incredibly powerful when you have that, when you can vocalize that. So, and that's what, Kanban. I see that James is out there talking work today, work yesterday. What are your blockers? I think that's super powerful, to be honest with yourself. That's how you can get started.
Fantastic. This has been just an amazing show. I got to say, I'm reading through all the comments here. What we're going to do, by the way, is we're going to we have a tool we wanted to talk about, but hey, you know what? We're well past the hour. What we want to do is we're going to put that in the blog post recap. That blog post recap is, it's going to go out over the weekend, actually. So it's going to be socialchefs.com/SC320. We're going to put that out over the weekend. Again, it's going to have all these fantastic tips that Dorien has been sharing. We'll put a tool of the week. We got some other topics we didn't cover, some smaller social media news topics. And again, we talked about LinkedIn creator tools as well at the beginning. I liked how everything just really, all the pieces fell together today. So I think it's just been just an amazing show. I mean, just looking at the feedback we're getting, I mean, I want to thank, we had Barb share some feedback. Mona said, hey, you know what? This episode's amazing. Thanks, guys. Again, it's all about our guest, and we had, today we had Dorien on, and she just, she's really smart. And so, I think.
Thank you. I just want to mention, I know your tool of the day is Wave Video. Yeah. It's another fantastic tool that you can use as a team, right? Instead of, being in a video editor and getting this video done and then saying, what do you think? You can, while during the editing process, get your team members in and say, hey, I made these edits right now. Before I download it and upload it and show you, go in the tool and this is what I've done. And then go and work on it together. You can be in there, I think, with up to 5 people if you have the business plan, which is what I have on Wave. 5 people can log in at the same time, go look at it. You can in real time edit it, work together. And that, again, is going to save you time instead of saying, I did all these edits, I'm downloading it, here it is. And then 3 people making comments and this needs to change, this needs to change. And that process is just not smart. So working together in tools is also a really agile way to do it. And Wave allows you to do that.
Yeah, I love Wave. my clients can't handle it. So, because the upload and when I render something from Adobe Pro, it's half an hour, right? It takes forever.
Right. But if they were to be able to, even if they don't log in, another way to be agile like that is to do a Zoom call and screen share with them and just you be in the tool. If they don't want to log in and say, this is what I'm doing, what do I need to change, and just play it back. And then do it like that. Because that's another really great way to get the feedback with the client. If they don't, sometimes I get you, they don't want to know about the tool. They just want to know what you're doing, but you need to make those changes. And that downloading and uploading is huge. If you're able to, if you can avoid doing that 3 or 4 times with all these different iterations, if you can be in that, another great tool to do that is in Canva. We have a client we're in there together and we can make small changes. And that's fantastic to be able to be in there. That's a really agile way to do it before we download stuff. So yeah, we definitely use Canva here on Social Chatter too. All of our images, all of our decks, all of our overlays and things. Canva has been great because we can be working on slides at the same time. Right.
So it's awesome.
Okay.
It's awesome. So much knowledge, so much inspiration every time Dorien comes on. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't know if I'll see all of you before the end of the year, but I want to wish you a wonderful holiday. Everybody's watching here. And today, December 2nd, it's, whatever holiday you celebrate, do it, go take some time off. But I'm always happy to be on the show. I love talking to both of you. Sarah, I hope I see you Saturday. We're both in Vermont.
I see you too. Yep.
That would be great. And it's always great to be here. I love being a guest.
Anytime. So before we wrap, I just want to highlight a couple of really quick comments we got from guests. Barb said, hey, the synergy in the show was the magic. Thanks so much for sharing your knowledge and time. Barb, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Bob Farnham also says he's inspired from today's show. So grateful. And it's timely for me as well. Again, you're heading into at the end of 2021, heading into 2022, take stock and just be honest with yourself. If things didn't move how you wanted them to in 2021, what changes, what adjustments, what tweaks do you need to make things run smoothly? I think, the agile marketing process is just really, it just sounds like it sounds so easy when you really just break it down. And you're like, hey, you got a support team, you got people to help you. So make sure you go and check out all those resources. I just had one quick question for you, Dorien, and that's where can people get in touch with you if they want to connect?
All right. So the best place is LinkedIn. Since now I'm creator mode, follow me in LinkedIn, subscribe to my newsletter.
Okay.
And it's Morin Media everywhere. It's a play on my last name, Morin. So Morin Media. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram as well. And of course, as a community manager, I am active on Facebook. My Facebook is open all day long. So if you want to connect with me, send me a message though, both on LinkedIn and Facebook and say, hey, I watch you on the show. I want to connect with you or I have questions, be happy to do that. On LinkedIn, you can just follow me. You don't have to send me a message, but you can also connect with me if you want to. Happy to answer questions. Come join us in the Agile Marketing community. And I wanted to say, if you want to get started 2022, right? Do an audit on your social media. That's the easiest thing. Know where you are now. That's what an audit is, right? Know where you are now. So that way you can measure growth in 2022. It's an easy thing to do. You can Google it. You can ask me how to do it, but it's simple. Take note of what you are doing, how many followers you have, where you get the most activity, and then make a plan to move forward. And then you can go back and said, well, December 2021, this is where I was. And now you can measure growth. You cannot measure growth if you don't know where the starting line is. So that's really important.
Fantastic. And Sarah, where can people get in touch with you, by the way?
They can find me across social media at Sarah Monroe VT. And as Dorien mentioned too, if you want to connect on Facebook or LinkedIn, please drop a message and let me know that you found me on Social Chatter. So I know that it's not just some random person on the internet. And I'd be happy to connect and help you out too.
Fantastic. And I'm at Social Chefs on all the social media channels. Again, this has just been an amazing episode. I'm reading through all the comments we got here from guests. We got people taking action, and I love that. This is, again, episode 320, Social Chatter. We'll have a blog post going out over the weekend. Next week's guest is going to be Christine Gritman, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time next Thursday. We're going to have her join us. But with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And again, go check out LinkedIn Creator Tools. And then also make sure while you're at it, be sure to review Agile Marketing. It's just an amazing process. So with that, we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.